When the thermonuclear thunder finally faded and the world's power grids blinked out like dying stars, humanity stepped into a new epoch. Gone was the familiar map of nations and skylines. In its place rose a tri-layered civilization fighting to rebuild on ruin. Tonight we imagine that landscape, where we might live, what we might eat and drink, and who, if anyone, will rule the fractured earth. Cities once crowned with glass towers now stand as radioactive citadels, their avenues patrolled only by scavenger drones. Survivors found refuge in 3 radically different habitats. First came the deep shelters, labyrinths of granite-carved chambers kilometers beneath mountain ranges, sealed by fusion-powered blast doors and lit by algae biolamps. Second emerged the ocean platforms, honeycomb rafts the size of small towns, able to lock together in calm seas or break apart and ride out typhoons. And finally, drifting 8 kilometers above the scarred surface, rose the sky cities, helium-lifted, ion-propelled decks that surf the jet stream and sip moisture from passing clouds. Food proved the next existential hurdle. With topsoil poisoned and sunlight fickle under ash-hazed skies, agriculture moved indoors and upward. In deep shelters, vertical farms climbed 40 stories, bathing gene-edited wheat and rice in programmable spectra that mimic dawn and dusk. On the ocean platforms, kilometer-wide algae gardens bloom beneath transparent decks. Once pressed and flavored, the emerald paste becomes nutrient bars, chocolate, vanilla, even the occasional paprika crunch. In the sky cities, luminescent aviaries breed swarms of protein-rich dragon moths. Ground to powder and blended with algae milk, they form the now famous Millennium Crackers, lightweight, shelf-stable, strangely addictive. Water, the planet's oldest currency, commands technologies as diverse as the settlements themselves. Subterranean dwellers recycle every exhaled breath through condensation bays, distilling steam into silver droplets that loop endlessly through copper veins. Seafolk wield forward osmosis rigs energized by wave motion, turning brine to drink and feeding the residue to salt-hungry bacteria that power their fuel cells. High above, cloud harvesters comb vapor from cumulonimbus spires, condensing it into shimmering torrents that cascade into quartz cisterns' artificial rain, captured before it ever touches irradiated ground. With geography shattered, governance splintered into 3 competing blocks. The Council of Guardians rules the deep shelters, a meritocratic order of physicists, medics, and former officers who value competence above bloodline. The Alliance of Captains presides over the oceanic lattice, its charter etched into titanium plates that declare, share resources or sink together. And in the skies, the consortium of sages deliberates through a quantum network linking every airborne deck. Their votes are filtered by an algorithm that predicts ecological fallout 2 centuries ahead. Power, however, rarely sits quietly. The Guardians command the last archives of pre-war weaponry. The captains control the global trade lanes that ferry algae, metals, and medicine between coasts. And the sages, high and aloof, possess the means to tilt rows of mirror satellites, shading entire seas as leverage in negotiation. Balance is maintained by tension, not by trust. Amid this uneasy triad, a new generation has emerged, calling themselves the heirs of dawn. Born after the firestorms, they carry gene edits for radiation resistance and ocular implants that record experience straight to crystal memory. Moving freely between burrow, wave, and cloud, they barter seeds, stories, and lost code, dreaming of knitting the planet back into a single tapestry, stitched with cooperation rather than conquest. Each sunrise raises the same ancient questions. Can we restore the soil we poisoned? Can we trade the relics of old grievances for a blueprint of shared survival? Or are we doomed to replay the cycle that scorched the world in the first place? Answers germinate in calloused hands planting the first sprout in luminescent loam, in welders fitting hull plates beneath a storm-lashed platform, And in engineers plotting a floating spire that will anchor the first permanent bridge between sky and sea. Thus might Earth look after the Third World War. 3 strata of existence, subterranean, oceanic, and aerial, each fighting to flourish. Food grown in towers and tide pools water, condensed from breath and cloud and authority, dispersed among science seamanship and algorithmic foresight. And threaded through it all, a stubborn hope that survival depends not on strength alone, but on an ingenuity that redefines home, sustenance, and power itself. We may never reclaim the world we remember, yet the planet endures, ready to cradle those brave enough to imagine beyond the apocalypse. For every ending contains the seed of a beginning, if we dare to dream it into being.